Okay, let's just dive right into this explainer. Today, we're completely reframing how you build wealth by mastering the absolute ultimate tool of the top 1%, leverage. Honestly, forget everything you've ever been told about what it means to be in debt or, what it takes to build a business from scratch. We're looking at exactly how the wealthy use capital and code to just do all the heavy lifting for them. Here's our playbook for today. We'll be hitting the magic number known as the spread, infinite returns, the billionaire tax machine, the wild new frontier of AI leverage, a concrete AI business blueprint, and then finally, we'll wrap up with your own personal leverage strategy. Let's get into it. Starting off with part 1, the magic number, also known as the spread. So to kick things off, we absolutely have to erase this ingrained idea that debt is inherently bad. I mean, at its core, a loan is literally just renting money. Think about it. When you rent a car or an apartment, you pay a fee, right? Well, when you rent money, that fee is just the interest rate. Your return on your own money equals the spread multiplied by how many borrowed dollars you can stack on top of your own. Look, if you borrow cash at a 4% interest rate and you invest it into something yielding 7%, you just pocketed a 3% difference on money that wasn't even yours to begin with. That gap, that's the spread. And honestly, the spread is the entire game of wealth creation. And this perfectly illustrates the dividing line between folks who drown in debt and those who get incredibly rich off it using literally the exact same loans and interest rates. It's wild. One person looks at a loan, panics, and tries to pay it off as fast as humanly possible. The other person, they look at that exact same loan, calculate the spread, and figure out how many dollars they can control with it. It's the exact same financial product, but the outcome is night and day just because the mindset is flipped. Moving right along to part 2, infinite returns with zero cash. Now, this brings us to a super fascinating real-world application of leverage. It's basically the oldest trick in the book, where your leverage becomes literally infinite, $0. That is the amount of your own cash left in the deal when you successfully pull off what's called trade credit. Imagine you're selling, say, pens. The standard way is to buy inventory with your own money, wait for it to ship, and then just cross your fingers and hope it sells. But the wealthy way? They negotiate net 30 or net 60 terms with overseas manufacturers. The factory lends you the inventory up front. You sell the pens, collect the cash from your customers, keep your markup, and then you pay the factory before the bill is even due. Because you use $0 of your own money, your return on investment isn't just high, it is mathematically infinite. This exact same concept scales beautifully into real estate with the Brewer strategy. So you buy a distressed property, fix it up, and force that market value to rise. Then you head to the bank and refinance based on that new, higher value, usually pulling out a loan for about 80% of what the property is worth now. The new loan completely pays off the old one, and you pocket the difference. Real estate investors absolutely obsess over this strategy because as long as the rent from your tenants covers that new, slightly higher mortgage, you just pulled every single dollar of your own initial money back out of the deal. You hit that infinite return on your cash, and you still own the appreciating asset. It's a total game changer. All right, part 3, the billionaire tax machine. Let's level up to the actual strategy behind every single headline you read about billionaires paying basically nothing in income tax. Spoiler alert, it's not magic, and it's actually not illegal. It's really just 3 ordinary rules stacked together, known as buy, borrow, die. Step 1, buy. You buy and hold assets that go up in value. Because you only owe tax when you actually sell an asset, the wealthy just never sell. But obviously they still need cash to, buy yachts and fund their lifestyles. So, step 2, borrow. They take out a line of credit using their massive investment portfolio as collateral. By borrowing at a super low interest rate to fund their lives, they totally sidestep triggering any capital gains taxes. They just hold on to that massive asset growth until step 3, die. At that point, the assets pass down to their heirs with what's called a stepped-up basis, which basically means that entire lifetime of untaxed gains is completely wiped clean from the IRS ledger. Poof, gone. Think about the math here. You are essentially renting money for around 6% to dodge a capital gains tax of nearly 24%. It is pure arbitrage. But a quick reality check. Leverage absolutely goes both ways. If those stock assets suddenly tank in value, the bank can issue a margin call. They'll force you to put up more cash or literally sell your assets right out from under you. So this massive leverage can go from an incredible wealth-building tool to a pretty devastating financial trap really quickly if you aren't careful. Up until now, we've only talked about borrowing money, but this brings us to a really brilliant pivot. What if you could borrow intelligence, right? Leverage isn't just about financial capital anymore. In today's digital world, it is very much about renting cognitive power.
Which brings us to part 4, the new leverage, AI intelligence. Let's dive right into this entirely new frontier, where a single person can build a multi-million-dollar digital business straight from their bedroom. One of the sources we analyzed put it so perfectly. The work that 10 people in my team used to do, I can do alone in minutes. Think about how crazy that is. Historically, scaling a business always meant scaling your payroll. You needed a data guy, an ad specialist, a coder, a copywriter, the whole shebang. Today, by utilizing cutting-edge AI tools to write your code, run your ads, and basically act as your entire customer success team, you are effectively controlling infinite digital output with zero personal payroll. You're literally renting the absolute smartest brains on the planet for a fraction of a cent per prompt.
Okay, part 5, the AI business blueprint. So how do we actually apply this stuff? Well, to build a high-margin, multi-million-dollar subscription business that solves a real market problem, you need to consult the smartest board of directors in the world. And no, you don't just ask one AI, you ask all of them to fight it out. By prompting top AI models like Claude, GPT, and Gemini to literally debate each other in an AI model council, you get these incredibly unique insights and strategies formulated by artificial intelligence arguing with itself. In one experiment from our sources, Claude offered this ruthless reality check, basically saying pivot immediately if you don't hit 500 paying subs in 3 months. Meanwhile, Gemini chimed in pointing out you only need 10 to 12,000 loyal subscribers to hit that $10 million mark. You are leveraging thousands of hours of computational brainpower in literally seconds. And the output is amazing. This AI council generated a highly specific, immediately actionable blueprint. It zeroed in on a massive, highly scalable market insecurity, dating app reply anxiety. It pinpointed an exact target demographic of 82 million Indian men and suggested servicing the whole thing through a WhatsApp-first distribution model. Guys, it did the market research, the product formulation, and the distribution strategy without hiring a single human employee. But, and this is a big but, you can't be 100% reliant on the machine. Actually, scratch that. It's more like you shouldn't be. To make sure your business doesn't just get wiped out overnight by a single software update from OpenAI or Google, you have to blend that infinite AI leverage with a human touch that customers actually value and trust. We call this the golden business ratio. Basically, 80% of the heavy lifting is automated by AI, which gives you that infinite scale. But that final 20%, that's human empathy, curation, connection. That 20% is your ultimate defensive moat. And finally, part 6, your personal leverage strategy. We've looked at the billionaire playbooks and these crazy AI councils, but how can you actually use this today to take control of your own capital and code? Well, let's start with your money. This is arguably the most accessible trade credit trick out there. If you're sitting on credit card debt at, say, 24%, you are currently the victim of someone else's positive spread. But you can completely flip the script. By paying a super tiny 3% transfer fee, you can move that balance to a 0% introductory card for 18 to 21 months. You instantly raise a massive negative spread. You're basically renting money for next to nothing, which completely rewires the math of your personal finances. So by taking these immediate actions, you can totally change your trajectory. First, pull your credit score. Why? Because a higher score makes you way less risky, meaning cheaper money to rent. Second, execute that 0% arbitrage on your existing debt. If you run a business, start asking for upfront customer deposits. That is trade credit in action, giving you infinite leverage. And finally, go test out that AI model council for your next big project. By actively lowering your interest rates and maxing out your digital leverage, you dramatically increase the spread on literally every move you make. Ultimately, leverage simply amplifies whatever your current strategy is. It takes what you're already doing and scales it to the moon, for better or worse. Debt and AI are absolutely not things to be terrified of. They are simply rented power. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought to ponder as you step away from this explainer and start building your own multi-million-dollar playbook. Are you the landlord of that power, or are you just the tenant? Thanks so much for joining me today, and I seriously cannot wait to see what you built.